Week 4 of the End Zone presented by TiVo. Jason Horowitz alongside Ian Eagle with you here in New York. Randy Cross with us in Atlanta. We're here with you on CBSSports.com and on your TiVo DVR via TiVo Cast. And guys, you know, heading into Week 4, we're doing the top 5 stories heading into every weekend. I think if you go back to the beginning of the season and think about what the top stories would have been heading into this one, we're looking at a totally different set than what we're actually looking at heading into this weekend.
Well, that's the great thing about the NFL is the unpredictability of it. Unlike some of the other sports where you can guarantee before the season starts who's going to be in the playoffs, who's going to be a legitimate contender. NFL is full of surprises, and here we are now in Week 4 dealing with the matchup of the week. I'm not sure that there was any other choice in this particular, and that's not a good sign necessarily for the NFL, but I think it goes to show you that some of the results have been a bit perplexing through the first 3 weeks.
And the matchup of the week being the Broncos and the Colts, as we say hi to Randy Cross in Atlanta. And, I think before the season, many would have thought maybe one of the matchups of the weekend would have been Kansas City, San Diego, which is where Randy will be. But those two teams are 1-2. So let's focus on these two teams, Denver and Indianapolis. And, Randy, as you look at this game, does anything stand out to you other than the fact that it's Peyton Manning against maybe the best cornerback duo in the NFL?
Well, I think what you have to look at from my perspective is kind of the other side of the ball. Peyton Manning is going to complete passes. You know that offense is going to run the ball relatively effectively at times against Denver. I think the questions come on the other side of the ball when Jay Cutler is at quarterback for the Denver Broncos. He is young. He's going to be a very good quarterback someday in the NFL, but right now he's an unfinished product. And I think Indy will be able to produce points off turnovers that are really going to give Denver a bad time.
He's got to cut back on turnovers. That's a must. For Jay Cutler and Denver to continue to win this season, he has to cut back on interceptions.
Yeah, and also the first 2 weeks very well could have been fool's gold for the Denver Broncos because they get the victory in Week 1 over the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are decimated by injuries. Nice come-from-behind effort to rally. Week 2, they get the fluke win against Oakland with the timeout for Mike Shanahan. So they're 2-0. On paper, you say, yeah, that's exactly where we expect the Broncos to be. They take a sobering step back to the other direction last week with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now, here we are in Week 4 questioning what kind of team is Denver, and defensively, some of those questions begin to percolate to the surface again. There's no doubt that the Broncos were exposed a bit last week, and with the Indianapolis Colts, I saw them in person, guys. I'm here to tell you, it might be scary to say, I think this year's version of the Colts is probably a better all-around team than the 06 version.
Which is
they're definitely a better football team. There is no doubt about it. And remember what a house of horrors that Indy Stadium has been for Denver.
Yeah, very true. You go back to the playoffs a few years ago, 2 straight years, giving up more than 40 points in each of those. But that's why they went out and they got Dre Bly to add to Champ Bailey. I mean, this is the reason they got Dre Bly to help. So you can't just have Bailey on Harrison. Now you've got a good cover corner on the other side marking Reggie Wayne. So here's the next question then. How big of a role does Anthony Gonzalez play in this game?
Well, having sat down with the Indianapolis Colts last week, it has been a slow process. And they recognize that the first year in this offense, Randy, is probably the biggest challenge for any young player. First of all, he's trying to replace maybe the best slot receiver in the NFL, Brandon Stokely. That's not easy to do to begin with. Secondly, it's like going in for a final exam every week, having not attended the course all year. Randy, I'm not saying that you did that back in college, but others have.
Got away with it.
Exactly. So Gonzalez has been a bit overwhelmed. I don't want to get into my personal background, but Gonzalez has been a bit overwhelmed, and now, as each week goes by, they're going to ask a little bit more of him in this offense, and Peyton Manning is a demanding guy. We all know that.
Well, how about Dallas Clark? I mean, he's used to being in that slot. He's used to playing that role. And I think one thing to really keep a close eye on in this game is the term double moves. You'll see a lot of double moves, not only out of Harrison, you'll see them out of Reggie Wayne, and it's something that Dre Bly's had trouble with, and it's something that Denver as a team, especially as defensive backs, have had trouble with the double moves. And John Lynch has got a bad groin. Whether or not he plays in that game goes a long ways towards determining how well they stop the run and how physical and how intimidating that defense can be.
And if they don't stop the run, that pass is going to be all over the place, and it'll be Colts big in this one. We'll get to our predictions in a little bit, but it's time for the TiVo Rewind to see what we picked last week. And we were talking about Dallas and Chicago and who we picked in this game, and here's what we said. them pick first.
I should get to pick.
So
Oh,
the
I would say,
Cowboys.
let him go.
All right, Cowboys and Bears. Pick.
I like the Bears. I like the Chicago Bears. Defensively, we know that Dallas is yet to see anybody close to this. I think the Bears will get enough done offensively, win a close one in this headline game of the week.
Randy, I'll let you go second. Who do you have?
All right, I agree with Ian as far as the Bears, but I just don't think it's that close. I think right now, Chicago, especially with that defense, is much better than Dallas.
You know what? We'll make it a three-way sweep here. I'll also go with the Bears, and I agree with Randy in this. I don't think it's that close because the Cowboys have not seen a team that could stop the run yet in this season. And, so all of a sudden Tony Romo's going to have to beat you, and that secondary is too good. So we will make it a three-way sweep. All right, well, Randy and I were close on one part in the fact that it wasn't a close game. It just went the other direction.
No. Yeah, we really nailed that one last week. Why did you guys force me to pick first? That's the part I don't know.
If I recall, you whined about not picking first.
I don't remember any of that.
No, nothing? All right, well, Randy, I'm the only one that hasn't picked first yet in this one, so I'll go.
All right.
Is that okay with you?
Oh, go right ahead.
All right, so I'm going to go out on a limb. We talked about the fact that Denver's had so many problems in Indianapolis, and I'm going to say the Colts win this one. Peyton Manning is on his game. You saw him, Ian, firsthand last week. Joseph Adai is getting a lot of running holes. Denver has a lot of problems stopping the run. I'll take Indianapolis.
Randy?
I'm going to have to go Indy, too. I just think this is bad timing for the Broncos as a team. They're going to be a double-digit win team, but right now they're not playing like it.
I'm going to pick the Cowboys. In this one. Are they involved in any way?
Well,
I'm picking Indianapolis. This, to me, is a no-brainer. Joseph Adai probably goes for a $145 on the ground. Broncos have not been able to stop anybody. Lamont Jordan made them look silly. Jacksonville last week, same deal. It's a clean sweep.
Yep.
Indianapolis to roll.
Which all means that Denver will actually
That's
win, and we'll have
scary.
to relive this again
Fair
next
point.
week. If I remember correctly, by the way, Randy picked Dallas after they beat the Giants as well, so you're stealing his material.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a week later, though.
All right, well, no problem. That's it for this segment of The End Zone. Stick around. We'll have plenty more here on this show. You can always watch us on demand at cbssports.com and on your TiVo DVR via TiVo Cast. Plenty more to come in your living room.